Marc Raimondi for ESPN with you today with former two-time PFL champion, of course, two-time Olympic judo gold medalist, Kayla Harrison. Kayla, it's great to talk to you. There is a lot to discuss. I know that you had a big fight, of course, a few days ago against Larissa Pacheco. Was your first loss in MMA. So I do want to say thank you first for coming on and for doing this. And I know that, you know, not everyone comes on after a loss. I know you've done several shows. You had a very nice note that you had on Instagram, I thought, with you and your two kids. How are you doing now a few days later?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a week. I kind of, I'm still processing it, to be honest. It's not, I mean, it's a little bit silly, right? Like, it's just a fight. But to me, it means a lot. And I think I've pretty much come to terms with it, except for how I lost, I guess we'll say that.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, just to be honest with you, like, obviously I've lost many times in judo. Lost on the biggest, I lost first round at the World Championships like a year after I won it. Like, I've lost before. It's not the first time I've tasted defeat, but I have been thinking a lot about those losses this last week, just kind of like dwelling in the gloom of it all, like just like going back and like just remembering all the losses. And the thing is, this is the first time I can ever really remember where I didn't dig deep. Like, I've gotten thrown flat on my face, I've gotten choked, I've gotten armbarred, I've messed up and lost, but I've never gone out and been outworked almost, and like it was 2-2 going into the fifth, so it came down to that, and I came up short. So yeah.
Well, let me just say from, an outsider's perspective, I thought it was a fantastic fight. And I don't think anyone watching that fight thought you didn't give everything that you had. I thought that both of you in that fight gave everything you had. And I thought it was one of the best PFL fights I've ever seen. I thought it was just, a war. Obviously, you were there and you have a different perspective, but from an outsider's perspective, I don't think anyone felt that you did not try your hardest to win that fight.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know that I tried my hardest too. I guess that's just kind of like that's what I mean. Like, I did give it everything I had, but I didn't win.
Right. And so how do you, this is your first loss in MMA, but like you said, you've lost in judo before. So how do you digest that? Because you did give everything you had and you still did not come up with the win.
I mean, like, how do I personally deal with failure? I dissect it, I obsess over it, I correct it, and I use it as fuel, personally. And I also breathe in and out. I wake up and I take care of my kids and I do the stuff that I'm responsible for doing. Like, I correct the mistakes and I come back stronger because of it. I think that, again, it's an opportunity for growth, definitely inside the cage. And for sure, I know as a person as well, losing on the judo stage is really different than losing in the MMA stage. I'll tell you that. So this is an opportunity for me to be a better person. And definitely there's a lot of things that I can fix as a fighter.
I think in some ways, and correct me if you feel differently, I feel like in some ways over the last week, you're kind of been a victim of your own success in a sense. And Larissa Pacheco, if for those who are paying attention and watching PFL the last few years, you could see the improvements that she had been making, and she really looks fantastic this season. And you know, obviously you've been dominant too, Kayla, of course. So it wasn't a surprise that you were a big favorite. But for those who are really paying attention to Larissa Pacheco, and you were saying this in the lead up, she's pretty darn good. She's a lot better than people gave her credit for.
Sure.
So what is your feeling on that? Do you feel like maybe people are almost misrepresenting this because maybe she doesn't have the biggest name, or people were not really paying attention to how good she actually is?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I think people didn't put enough respect on her name. I personally didn't. Like, I knew. I fought her 3 years ago,
Right.
and I knew how good she was then, and I knew she was only going to get better. You know, and she's also training at American Top Team in Atlanta, with Cal. You know, I mean, she made the right adjustments. She did everything right. So, I don't think I'm a victim of my own success. Like, I am a victim of my own decisions. Like, I choose to talk. I choose to put myself out there. I choose to step in a cage and fight. I chose this as my living. So any criticism I receive is well deserved and well earned, really. You know, like, I'm out here living my life in the spotlight. So I don't think that I'm a victim of my own success. I think I'm a victim of my own choices.
That's fair. In the fight itself, and I thought you know, you showed a lot as far as being able to battle back from adversity. In a lot of your fights, if we're being honest, you kind of dominate and you get the finish rather quickly at times. This was the first fight that you had to really kind of dig deep, and a lot of people thought, including me, thought you did that. When you're in a fight like that, what is, because it's kind of your first like war like that. What like how different is that? What does that feel like? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not making excuses, but the fight, I was definitely not like, it wasn't my best night by any means. And what I mean by that is I just didn't really, for whatever reason, I wasn't able to kind of like focus in and like, I usually, like, I take pride in the fact that I usually shine brightest under the big lights, you know, like I usually like, I get into this like zone and it's like, I'm untouchable, you know? And for whatever reason, like, I don't hear the crowd. I don't hear, like, I have this like sense of calm usually. And for whatever reason that night, I just didn't have it. Like, I could hear people screaming and I was like watching myself fight almost. So, um, but yeah, I mean, listen, adversity is like my middle name at this point. Like, it's like my best friend, you know. I think so anyone who thinks that maybe I wouldn't be able to handle adversity in a cage probably doesn't know a lot about my life. And nothing hits harder than life, right? So I knew that I would be able to handle adversity. I knew that I don't have any quit in me, and that wasn't going to be a problem. I knew that I could take a punch because I've been hit plenty of times before. Um, Really, it just came down to I didn't step up and find a way to win, and she was able to, and I wasn't.
I've heard a lot of people say about MMA, the thing that is so different about this sport than a lot of others is like when you're a basketball player and you're in the NBA, you have a bad game. There's probably a game tomorrow, or there's a game in 3 days, or a game next week. You get to
Yeah.
correct all that, and that, you know, it's one game in 82. MLB, you know, it's one game in 162. When you're an MMA fighter, you prepare for a long period of time to peak on one specific night, and you only get to do it. I mean, PFL is kind of different because of the season, but maybe, I mean,
Right.
elite fighters fight twice a year, maybe 3 times in a very
Right.
active year. Three
Yeah.
times a year is not a lot of time to, you know, correct those mistakes and try to, you know, peak on those specific dates.
No.
Is that what we're talking about a little bit about, just maybe not feeling your best on that date, which is unfortunate because that's just the date you have to fight?
No, I mean, not physically. I mean, physically we peaked. I prepared, you know, it is difficult, the season format, and uh it is difficult, the season format, and staying healthy and all of that stuff. Like, it's obviously a big challenge. Like, if you break your arm, you know, tough, the season goes on, the show must go on. So, but I was in great shape. You know, like I said, I have my team did a fantastic job. American Top Team. I had great training partners. My coaches had a good, like, we had a good game plan. I just didn't, I didn't go out and perform. The loss is on me and only me. Yeah, it's on me.
Would you say, and I've heard people say this as well, the undefeated streak is broken. Don't got to worry about that anymore. Now you can just kind of focus on, winning fight by fight. Do you feel like that's something that you'll be able to kind of channel in the future?
I mean, I wasn't ever really thinking about it. It's not like I'm like, oh, well, now that I've lost, it's okay. I can lose it. Like,
Sure.
It's different. It's different, I think, in the sense that every fight in MMA is kind of like the Olympics, right?
Mm.
Like, especially for me, I had all this, I was the next Ronda, and I had, like, there was just all of this noise that was going on. And so every fight is kind of like the Olympics for me. And I never lost at the Olympics. I had never experienced that. So, yeah, I mean, it just sucks. It's going to suck for a while. I wanted to remain undefeated. I wanted to come in here and kind of clean house and then like walk away and, like flip everybody the bird and be like, I told you, so, that sucks. It sucks. It sucks that I lost, but I'm not done. I know that I'm not anywhere close to done. I know that I still believe that I have what it takes to be the greatest. And yeah, now it's back to the lab again. Got to go back and it's when you fall off the horse, you don't run away, you get back on.
Which kind of brings me to my next question. What do you want next? I know there are probably some options. When you re-signed with PFL earlier this year, I think that the plan was for you not to be in the season in 2023. Do you have an idea of what might be next now?
I don't. My manager kind of wanted to talk to me about it while we were still in New York, and I was just like, I'm just trying to like not burst into tears in front of this group of strangers right now. So let me just like let me compose myself. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough spot. I think that I dropped the ball, now I'm kind of in this position where like, do I go back on my word, to my kids and say, "Fuck it, I'm doing another season," like, because I can't handle it? Or do I stick to the game plan and fight 2 more fights and go from there? I mean, to be honest, I really don't know what I'm going to do. I need time to process it. And I also need to talk to my advisors, like I have people in my life that I trust who give me solid advice for a reason. So I should talk to them before I announce anything on ESPN.
That's fair, but when you do decide, you can always come back and tell us, right?
I'll call you. Okay.
Okay, cool. Do you want the Pacheco rematch? I mean, you guys have been in there 3 times. You're still ahead 2-1. Do you want to fight her again?
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah. Absolutely.
And is that like at the top of your priority list?
I mean, it is, but I also understand like I don't call the shots anymore, like I fucked up. I lost. I'm not the champ. So now I'm kind of at the mercy of some other people, and it's gonna suck. So
well, you still are the face of the promotion. I mean, let's not get it twisted here. Yes, you lost 1 fight, but
yeah.
I'm sure you have some say about what happens next. I don't think you're completely at the mercy of others.
No, I mean, obviously it's my career, so I have a say no matter what. But what I mean is like, she can say no, like, and she has every, if she doesn't want to, she doesn't have, she can just be like, no, forget her, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea. So, I'm gonna that's why I pay Ali so much money. Like, that's why I pay him, so he can, because he knows what he's doing, and he's gonna figure it out for me. And then I'll just go back and train and do what I love and get this taste out of my mouth.
The one of the other things that has been brought up over the last few days is, of course, the Cris Cyborg situation. And I know this is a fight that you wanted. I know that you were pretty close to going to Bellator at one point, about a year ago.
Yeah.
Now Don Davis has kind of made this pretty lucrative offer to the both of you, which also includes a Rolls Royce, I guess. Is this in the scope of possibility? Do you see this happening? Harrison versus Cyborg, Cyborg versus Harrison in 2020?
I mean, I would love for that to happen. She knows that I would love for that to happen. I got to talk to Don, though, because I don't want a Rolls Royce, but we'll figure that.
What do you want?
I don't know. I mean, can you imagine my kids eating their like Cheez-Its in the back of a Rolls Royce? Like, just like Cheez-Its all over a Rolls Royce. Like, that would just be, no, we're not doing that.
I mean, I don't think anyone's asking you to take the Rolls Royce to soccer practice, Kayla. I mean, you could
what is
take
he gonna do? Just sit in my driveway?
You can take the minivan to soccer practice. You got a Rolls Royce, so you can take it somewhere else. You can take it to that Brazilian steakhouse that Dan Lambert goes to.
Listen to me. I may have lost a fight, but I will still whoop your ass. I do not drive a minivan, okay? Don't you talk to me like that. Don't you disrespect me like that. I drive an SUV like a respectable badass mama jama, okay?
Okay. Apologies.
Take it back.
Okay, so but what I'm saying is you don't
expedition.
need the Rolls to pull up to school to take Emery, home.
Then what's the point of having Rolls if my like 4-year-old gangster son can't pop out and be like, "What's up, ladies?" No, I'm just kidding.
But maybe you should try to negotiate for like a Lamborghini or like a Ferrari or something. What do you think?
Yeah, my daughter would absolutely love that. She has it in her head like that her first car is going to be a Lamborghini. I was like, "Are you insane?" Like,
look, tell Kyla that her first car could be a Rolls Royce if this fight with Cris Cyborg happens.
Yeah, she would be happy about that.
There you go.
She's so funny. They had so much fun in New York. She has become like a little haggler since going to New York. She like all the street vendors and stuff. She took all of her money with her that she has earned from lemonade stands and whatnot. And she was shopping and she saw a Chanel purse on the side of the street. And so she was like, "How much?" And the guy was like, 50. And she was like, "Oh, no." And he was like, okay, 45. And she was like, "No, I don't want it." And like turned and walked away. And he was like, "Okay, 40 and I'll give you the wallet." And she was like, "Okay." And like, I was like, wow. Yes, girl. My little entrepreneur. Yeah, she's a hustler. She's going to take over Ali's
I was just gonna say that Ali might have some competition, Ali, in a few years.
Yeah, but Kyla,
no prisoners.
No, Kyla would like negotiate with Dawn about the Rolls. She would be like, "All right, a Rolls, and can we get like the kid version for it too?" Like she would haggle. But sorry, I'm rambling.
No, you're fine.
Because I'm sad. But yeah, I would definitely love to fight Cyborg. She knows I would love to fight her. Rolls Royce or no Rolls Royce. I don't do this for the money. I don't do it for fancy cars. I actually do really love what I do. I'm one of the, I think, few people who are blessed to wake up every day and enjoy the process of work. I do love what I do. It means a lot to me. I'm grateful always for the opportunity to compete. And that's why it hurts so much, because I do put my heart and soul into it. And I do train hard, and I do believe in myself, and I do believe in my team, and I do make sacrifices, and my family makes sacrifices, and my coaches and my coaches' families make sacrifices. So that's why it hurts, that's why it's hard, because when you give your all into something and you come up short, it's a hard feeling, and it hurts. But again, just like to reiterate what I've been saying, like I'm not ashamed. Like I'm not hanging my head, and like I want young kids, like if some kid is watching on ESPN someday, like I want them to know, like there's no shame in me giving my all and failing. Like it happens. Like we don't always get everything we want. Like that's life. Life is not fair, and like do I think I deserved to win? Yeah, but I didn't. Like I didn't connect it that night. That night it didn't work out. So does that mean I'm going to quit and like I don't know, crawl under a rock and die? Like I want to, like part of me wants to crawl under a rock and die, but I'm not going to. Like I can't wait to get back in the cage again, because I love what I do. And when you love what you do, it takes a lot more than a loss to put out that fire.
Oh, I just wanted to ask you one more thing about Cyborg, since we were on the topic. I think she replied to one of those tweets from Don Davis saying 80-20. And I took that to mean that the fight purse that you guys would divvy up, she would get 80%, you would get 20%. Is that something that you would be comfortable with if it meant getting that fight?
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. She has me blocked, so I can't even. No, I don't do this for money. Like obviously I have to, like Ali would murder me. Like I have to take care of my family and
Of course.
but yeah, I already told her I'll fire at ATT in the parking lot.
Is that right?
Here we go. Here comes the headline. Harrison still down for parking lot brawl. Yeah, that's for my managerial team to figure out. I'm just a fighter. I don't crunch numbers. So
fair enough. It'll be about a year since you re-signed with PFL, just in a few months here. How much is left now on this contract? I think
2 fights.
2 fights left. Okay. So and the season has not really been factored in at this point, right? It's still like it would be like super fights on pay-per-view. That's kind of the plan. Or at least that was the plan before.
Yeah, the plan, I mean, the PFL and I work really well together. I think originally the contract was, a fight every 4 months or something, or 5 months. And they said, okay, we'll just do the season and then we'll do the pay-per-view fights. So I'm sure that Ali is talking to them and they're figuring out what's going to happen. And when I know, you'll know.
Fair enough. Without asking for any specifics, any details, has that the idea that you had in your head about what the next year looks like, has that changed now after the loss?
Yeah. I mean, probably, like, yeah. I'm just not gonna be able to. Yeah. Yeah.
Not going to be able to.
I mean, I'm just not going to be able to enjoy my life if I don't go train like a monster. So I will not be able to sleep at night if I don't go train until like my hands are bloody, So I just don't have that. I can't let that go. I can't live like that. So
When do you head back to you haven't not gone back to the gym yet this week, right?
No, I haven't. That's gonna be the hardest of all, That's gonna be that's everyone always wants to talk to you about like everyone has an opinion on. It's like and it's my choice. Like I do what I made this decision, but fudge, like when an accountant messes up a spreadsheet, like I don't go to the accountant and say, hey man, like you really dropped the ball on that. Like if I were you, I would have done this number instead of that, like I'm like, if they come to me and say, hey, do you want to talk about, they say, hey, Kayla, I really need to talk about this spreadsheet. I'd be like, yeah, let's talk about it. Like, what, are you okay? What happened there? It seems like you really were just not putting the numbers in the calculator right, you know? But like everyone just thinks it's like, even my own, I'm not going to talk. Anyways, yeah.
Even your,
even people like that I know care about me and like, just like, oh, you know, like, I'm like, I don't want to talk to you about this right now. Like, you can't make me feel worse than I already feel, I promise you. And it's not helping me right now at all to rehash it and go over it and over and over and over and over and over and over and make the small talk about, well, it was so close and you did really good. And hey, you can take a hit. And like,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
thank
I mean,
you.
it's one of those things, right, where, you know, everyone at their office every day probably messes up, makes a mistake, they fail in some way, but no one really sees it. They're in their 9 to 5 and they're
Right.
doing their thing. When a fighter messes up,
Right.
it's only them in the cage, and
Right.
it's in front of public. It's in full
Right.
view of everyone. It isn't even like an NBA team, you know, where, you know, there's 4 of the guys on the court.
Spread the
Hey, you
blame.
mess up,
Yeah.
oh, we lost the game, but everyone else kind of contributed to losing the game too.
Yeah.
Whereas the fighter, the microscope and like the heat lamp is
That's
hot.
the beauty of it too, right? Like that's what makes it so absolute. That's what makes it the best sport in the world. Like this is human chess. This is like you've never been alive till you've been inside of a cage and someone is trying to take you out, you know? It sucks when you lose because then you're like under the microscope, but it's also that's what makes it so amazing. Like that's what it is, like we're modern day gladiators, I guess, you know? It's fantastic. It's fantastic. But yeah.
All right. Kayla,
Yeah.
we'll leave it there. Thank you so much again for taking the time out. I know it's
Oh,
been not the best week, but we appreciate you, you know, being open and honest and candid about everything you've been
yeah.
through. Yeah.
Listen, it's a fight. It's a fight. It's what I love, but I love other things too. I'm going to live to fight another day, literally. So that's the good news. And I'll be back. I promise everyone I'll be back and you'll, holy, watch out.
Thank you, Kayla. And if you don't want the Rolls Royce, like I'll take it if you. I'll
Well,
take
yeah.
it.
You can't have a Rolls Royce living in LA. That thing will get torched in a day.
I'll roll the dice. How about that? Thank you, Kayla.
All right. Hey, thanks so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.